Hi everyone, it's Majorie here from the Punk Priestess, and welcome to June. We are going to be talking about the astrology and tarot for June 2026. So this is our astrological and divination forecast here. And we are going to talk about the new moon, the full moon this month. That's what we're going to mostly focus on for the astrology. As always, on my Substack, I have all of the transits for the month, so all the aspects as well as the main planetary events. So make sure that you're subscribing, and you'll have all the dates, all the transitions with the planets for that month. And I also include my zodiac playlist. So we will have a zodiac playlist for Gemini season, which we're currently in, and then Cancer season, which is next. So what I have here is the next lunar phase that we have, the new moon, that is going to be in Gemini. So we're going to go over the Sabian symbol of this. Just because it's not like a huge passion of mine, I don't want to focus on a lot of the mundane astrology. Life is crazy right now. There's so much happening. But I wanted to mostly focus on for this forecast the Sabian symbols, and I think it's a good reflection for the Sabian symbols. It just tells so much where we are, culturally, collectively, personally in our lives, and how we are relating to the astrology of the times. So, without further ado, we're just going to jump right in and what we have going on, just, seeing where some of the planets are, we are starting to get some Leo energy coming in. So already we have Venus right away in Leo, so 1 degree. So that just started. And then we're going to eventually have uh, we're going to have Jupiter move into Leo at the end of the month after our full moon in Capricorn. So we're going to start having, more Leo essence arriving, which I think is going to be great. Um, we also, before the new moon in Gemini, we are going to have Mercury's shadow starting. So that's going to start on June 12th, and then Mercury will go retrograde the day of the full moon in Capricorn, which is the 29th of June. So there's a lot coming towards, I feel like, the end of the month. But we are having Mercury retrograde shadow start right after. Right before this new moon in Gemini. So, if you have your Mercury in, it's going to be in Cancer. If you have your Mercury in Cancer, just pay attention to those degrees. It will be going retrograde at the later degrees of Cancer. So it will be 26 degrees and 15 minutes of Cancer. So if you have anything around those degrees and, I guess, yeah, more in the 20s and the teens of Cancer, just kind of pay attention to your chart at that time. So the shadow will be at 16 degrees and 19 minutes. So, that's going to be kind of your 10-degree radius to kind of navigate with the next Mercury retrograde. So we also have our nodes, our lunar nodes are going to be moving into Aquarius and Leo starting in July. But I think it's interesting how, we're still holding on to some of this eclipse energy and these mutable signs, and then we're going to get to some fixed energy. So we'll see how that, radiates collectively. I think that's going to be, pretty telling of, what transcends here. We have a lot of sextiles going on between with this Aries energy and, this Gemini energy. So, we're having a lot of kind of compatibility and ease throughout the month, but I definitely feel that there's like this intensity that's coming towards the end of the month in June. Um, so we also have what's going to be nice too is the sextiling with Venus and in Leo, and then in Uranus and Gemini. I think that's going to be very helpful to kind of ease, some of this kind of chaotic Uranus energy that has been circulating since it just got into the sign of Gemini. It just was not vibing with all that Taurus energy of last month. So let's just jump into the Sabian symbol of the moon here. So the moon is at 24 degrees and 2 minutes of Gemini. And of course, every new moon is going to conjunct the sun. So we have our conjunction right here. But for the Sabian symbols, we're always rounding up. So we are going to be reading the Sabian symbol for 25 degrees Gemini. I am reading it out of Dane Rugnar's Astrological Mandala. This is the best book for Sabian symbols. This is actually, I got this used, like you can only find this used. They do have like a newer version, but this is like, I don't know. To me, I like the size of this book. And I like to keep the OG of what Dane originally wrote instead of like recent modifications. So we're going to kind of get into it. It's very summery, very springy, the Sabian symbol. I like the Sabian symbols for these two moons this month. I think they're, very a little bit more positive, a little bit more joyous. So the Sabian symbol for 25 degrees Gemini is a gardener trimming large palm trees. The keynote is bringing under control nature's power of expansion. So I think we can all visualize that. I just like came from Florida a couple weeks ago, and that's something that they do. They trim the palm trees, especially because they grow fruit, and that can like fall and hit you and kill you. So that's just like a visual. So we're trying to curb nature's power of expansion, and the keynote here, the key word is pruning. So. Um, a little breakdown of the Sabian symbol of what Dane wrote is, how, humans, just like tropical plants, we expand wildly in many different directions. And I think this is a very Gemini, Gemini type of Sabian symbol because, the Gemini mind is always moving in so many different directions, learning so many different things, doing so many different things, very multi-talented. And, I think this is a good lesson during this time that there's so much going on, so much distraction, like, so much that we're doing every day in our lives, that we need to prune it. We need to dial back. We need to trim. We need to not just be spread out in a million different directions. And we also need to try to find, t some type of form. And that's like, I think a good key because like Geminis really struggle with the constant movement and, it's mental movement, it's physical movement, it's, their day can get away from them because there's so much going on. It's very interactive. Their lives are very interactive. So, trying to find like form, trying to like prune what doesn't work, what doesn't serve you is very important to be mindful of at this time. And I think with the sun here, it's in the fifth house, with the moon, when it comes to our creative projects, when it comes to how we're expressing ourselves, how we're centering ourselves and putting our energy out there. Like, the fifth house is very direct. The fifth house is a very obvious form of expression for ourselves and our talents and our abilities and what we're doing in this world. And we have to dial it back sometimes. Too much can be too much, and it can be overstimulating for people or even ourselves, and then we're exhausted. So I think, there's a lot of light being shed on how we need to move differently in this world and what we can control, what we can prune, what can we release. And, just taking a different approach in our life. Instead of doing it all, how about we just do maybe two good things well? So, um, and I think also like there's like this note here about like labor and politics and education and there's like those different facets too of life that are more collective that are going on. I mean go on threads on Instagram or go on social media, like there's so much happening all around the world, all around the country, and there's so many different themes like happening at once, but we need to see what we can, focus on, what we can participate in, and where we can have a greater impact. And what, maybe we do need to decide collectively, if we're going to protest or, if we are going to boycott something or not buy something, from a certain company, whatever it may be, that aligns with our political truths. We need to make sure that we're being effective because if we're spread too thin, if we're trying to do everything, like our energy is scattered and we won't have a lot of impact. So I think, think that's good. I think it's a good lesson to prune. I have to tell my Gemini clients this a lot because they struggle with this, the overwhelm. But there's also the fear of missing out, which also is a very fifth house thing too. It's like you want to do it all. You want to be a part of it all. You don't want to miss out on experiences. You want to say you were there, and you witnessed it. But you also need to know when that is getting in the way of you doing, work that is important for your soul calling. And I think it is a little bit of just focus and concentration and doing like a couple of things well instead of not doing everything and nothing gets done, or, it's just a lot of loose ends. So I think, that's I like that Sabian symbol. I think it's a good reminder for Gemini energy. And, even myself, I was just like, wow, I have a lot to focus on this month. Especially in like the Gemini fashion, I have a lot of freelance writing projects that are due in the next like 2 months. So I had to make the decision, and I posted on this on my Instagram and my newsletter that I bring out every month, how I need to take a step away from doing Zoom readings. I'll still do recorded readings so I can do it on my own time, but I had to be intentional. I'm like, I can't do it all. I can't be as available as I once was because I need to like lock in and get this writing done. And I also have a lot of other life updates and changes I posted on my social media as well, and my newsletter about just how much like that's going on the next couple months in my life. So I had to make the conscious decision of, you know what, I can't be spread this thin. I have to focus at the task at hand because I actually have deadlines. I usually don't have a lot of deadlines unless I'm teaching, which I'm also teaching quite a bit in person at work. So it's definitely it's a time of like trying to gather the mind. And I have noticed a mental shift of my mind. Like once, like the first day of Gemini season, I was like locked in mentally. So, but yeah, I think it's, how can you prune? What needs to be pruned in your life? I think this is going to be a conscious discussion with yourself moving into the second half of Gemini season. So we're gonna just jump ahead to the full moon, and then we are going to pull some tarot cards. Um, the full moon is going to be on the 29th. It's going to be in Capricorn, which is actually very early for a Capricorn full moon. Usually it is in July. So I have a Capricorn moon, so I always look at um, when the Capricorn full moon is arriving every year. And I was like kind of shocked. I was like, whoa, that's coming early, coming pretty early. So here we go. Of course, we're always going to have our opposition every full moon. So we have 8 degrees and 14 minutes of Capricorn. It's interesting how our dynamic is now shifting and changing. We had a lot of this lunar solar energy. The luminaries were in the fifth house, and now we're at the relationship and house in the self house. So this is going to be interesting to see like what you're pruning, the first, couple weeks of this month, and then how that is going to have a cause and effect towards your relationships and towards your own identity and personal self towards the end of the month, moving into Cancer season. So I find that duality is really different in that connection here. We also still have some very strong fifth house presence because we now have the start of Mars moving into Gemini in the fifth house. So you're still taking a lot of action on things. Maybe there are some new creative, projects and, opportunities that get presented to you, or like vacations and forms of expression that do come up, and new relationships that do come up around this time, which can be very exciting. So I think as of, it's interesting to kind of see how this Sabian symbol energy is flowing into each other. It's also interesting that, I said that this was a used book. So I've had this book for many years, and the original owner of this book, they put their top three in this book. So their son was actually an 8 degrees Capricorn. So the original owner of this book was a Capricorn. So I'm not surprised. A lot of people feel like Capricorns are very modest and into just, the more materialistic, capitalistic sides of life, which, yes, some Capricorns can be, but the more evolved Capricorns who have their third and crown chakra open, their third eye and crown chakra open, they're the ones who are really heavily involved in astrology. And one of my favorite Capricorn astrologers is Stephen Forrest. And I have a lot of Capricorn energy in my chart. That's like the dominant sign in my chart. So I think it's, I'm like, yeah, of course they were a Capricorn. So we're going to read the Sabian symbol of not only this full moon in Capricorn, but the original owner of this book, what their Sabian symbol was. I wish I knew who this person was. I wish, like, I want to understand, um, who they were. How did this book get into my hands? Like, did they pass on? Was it donated? I mean, this book was published in 1973. So, and it's interesting because when this was published, you can tell that this is like a first edition copy because Dane Rudnar, the writer, the author, he was still alive and he passed away quite a bit ago. So I think this is interesting. When was he born? He was born I think he died in the 70s, I want to say. But yeah, he was born in 1985. Yeah. But yeah, no, he didn't die in the 70s. I'm sorry. I think he died. I don't even know. Like, when did he die? Let me Google this really quick. I think we're gonna take a little segue because I want to get this right. I'm like, wait, he didn't die in the 70s. Um, 80s. Okay, so he died in 1985. Okay, that's what I thought. This is the book that I have here. It actually went down in price because I think I spent a lot of money on this book. I know how much I did, but I'm not going to mention how much I actually spent on this book because it's a lot. Um, so we're gonna read the Sabian symbol for 9 degrees Capricorn. So it's a very beautiful Sabian symbol, as the other one is, especially the visualization of it. So it is an angel carrying a harp. The keynote, the revelation of the spiritual meaning and purpose at the core of any life situation. And the key word is attunement to the rhythm of universal life. Angels are to be considered personalizations of various aspects of this life and totally subservient to its rhythms and purpose. So I'll read a little bit of the symbol. This symbol simply says that heaven is within us. All we have to do is be open and listen to the total harmony of life, a harmony in which we play a part that is necessary to the completeness and meaning of the whole. In order to do this, we have to surrender our separate ego consciousness and flow with the universal current, which is to the religious minded person, the will of God. So it is a lot about surrender. This is a lot about, connecting to your spirituality, connecting to your faith, and finding your purpose through that. And also how, angels can, show up in many different ways, shapes, and forms. It doesn't always have to be some type of angelic angel that we visualize with like wings and wearing white and having a halo over their head, that Hollywood kind of interpretation of what an angel looks like. Angels come in, good Samaritans, good people, blessings in disguise. It's very instantaneous moments where things just feel divinely aligned and magical. And being open to spirituality, being open to some type of connection, and being even open to angels gives us more harmony. And I tell my clients this all the time. I'm like, you need to have some type of spiritual connection. You need to have some type of belief system, and that will make you feel more fulfilled, more at peace. And it really does. I've noticed like such a shift within myself. I mean, I've always been on a spiritual path, a spiritual journey my whole life, but I really noticed a huge shift when I was in my mid 20s, like diving even more into, divination and spirituality and meditation and all of that. Um, and that has just left me with like so much peace. I always felt the more that I dove into like religion, like man-made religion and Christianity, like I was, raised Catholic, the more I dove into that, I never felt peace. I never felt settled. I always felt anxious and I feel like once I moved more into the, you can call it new agey type of spiritual direction. Like I've always was into that, but even moving deeper into it and having, that a consistent force in my life, has brought me a lot of peace and contentment within my soul. Um, and we just have to surrender to our ego consciousness. Like that is, one thing we have to surrender to the ego. We have to just understand that, we're never going to fully know all the answers, and we have to have peace with that. We just have to move on and take each day as it comes. And this is, it's interesting with this being a Sabian symbol for Capricorn. You would be like, well, wouldn't this be a Sabian symbol for Pisces, for example, because Pisces gets more of the traditional spiritual reputation. But people forget that Capricorn is a sea goat. It has that fishy tail of Pisces connected to the earthy cardinal energy of Capricorn, of that goat. And I always tell my Capricorn clients that you need to look at the fishy tail to find guidance, to find spiritual connection in your life, or then you're just, climbing for nothing. You're not really pursuing something intentional. You can have blind determination, and that can be the unsettledness, that can be the ego consciousness coming up. So this does, read to me as a very, Capricorn symbol, because this is the enlightened Capricorn energy. This is the evolved Capricorn energy we want to align with, if you have strong Capricorn in your chart. And it was no reason why, it's no surprise why the future owner of this book had a Capricorn sun and had this book in their collection, because they were definitely a higher evolved Capricorn. So, yeah, I think it's a beautiful, and it's a very beautiful reminder of Cancer, season two, like the duality of the Cancer and the Capricorn. It's, there's always some type of intention. There's always some type of drive and purpose with that cardinal energy, the water and earth cardinal. It's not just for nothing. So, and kind of the attunement of the rhythm of life, and making sure you believe in angels. And, I connect with my angels and my loved ones on the other side all the time, every day. I have multiple altar spaces in my office for them. And they always give me like little tokens, little signs, little things. So, I was thinking too, like on my altar, I have money, and I have in this little bundle $50. And it was just one day randomly. This was like, I want to say the first week of 2025. Um, I was getting a new parking pass for work and in the office, and there was just this, couple, this black couple there, and they were just looking at me. I was looking at them, because it's mostly like a very white predominant area that I work in, so you don't really see a lot of people of color. And yeah, we were just like talking really quickly, and she's like, I want to give you this. And I'm like, oh, what is it? And she gave me $50. It was just so random. I was like, are you sure? I'm like, really? Why? She's like, no, you just need this. I just want to give this to you. I just feel called to give this to you. And I was like, wow, like thank you so much. I was just so taken aback because no one's ever given me just $50 before. And so for the past, over the past year, I've had that $50, like I will never spend it. But I just kind of felt like that was just such a very beautiful gesture. And like that is an angel. That is an angel, in its own way. And so I always just keep that money as a reminder to just like give it back, give back to people. It doesn't have to necessarily be in the form of money. And I don't even know if she had that money to spend, but she felt called to give it to me for some odd reason. But I'm like, thank you. I didn't really want to take it, but I'm like, I guess, but I always just have it as a reminder, and it's on my altar, for a good deed. So, try to do good, do a good deed, at the end of the month and to honor this Capricorn full moon. So that's the Sabian symbols. That's a brief on the astrology. We're gonna get into some tarot here. So I'm gonna stop sharing this. All right. So I don't want to make this too long. Um, but let's pull some cards. I want to start with the main energy. But yes, if you want to book an in-person, like sorry, not in person, if you want to book a Zoom reading with me, my books are open for the next 2 weeks. So go ahead, book your reading, and um yeah, if you can't make it within the next 2 weeks, feel free to book a recorded reading with me. I will still be available for recorded readings so I can do it on my own time. I have a lot going on this summer. It's going to be wild, but I will make time for recorded readings. It's just going to be hard because I'm having a lot of work done in my house. This summer it's going to be hard for me to do Zoom because I don't know with how I would schedule it with the work being done in the house. So that's why I'm only doing recorded after I think it's like June 12th. So my books are open right now for Zoom, but will forever be open for recorded. So let's just pull for main energy of June. As always, I will show a picture of the spread and I will list all the decks that I use for you to purchase if you feel called, and that will all be on my Substack. Sorry, I'm a little cold. Not really a cold, but it's like a cough, I think, from like all the pollen and like allergies. And like my allergies have been like on another level. As well as just I think the in and out of like air conditioning, non-air conditioning. It's been wild. It's been wild. But this has been a card that has been coming up a lot for my readings as well as like client readings, and that is the Mother of Swords. It's so Gemini coded. We love it. Excuse me. I wonder if I have any cough drop. Hold on. We're just gonna get through this. We're just going, like I said, I'm gonna keep it short. Oh, I think is that a cough drop? I do have a cough drop. I might have to put that in. Um, excuse me, not very professional, but gotta do what we gotta do. I have manifest. So I think this is amazing. I think this is definitely what I was talking about with that Sabian symbol for the Gemini new moon. The pruning, the mental pruning can really help you manifest your desires in a more intentional way. And I think this is, also great for whatever that's on your mind, to bringing it into reality, to making a plan for it. This is Gemini season. It's time to do, it's time to really utilize the power of our mind and believe in our thoughts and ideas, believe in our intellect, believe in, how we're speaking, how we're coming across, what we believe in. Like there's just so much here that I think is so powerful with the Mother of Swords, the Queen of Swords. She's very strong right now. And I think it's great for communicating and like, expressing yourself, sharing your ideas to other people, and that you'll be heard, you'll be acknowledged, you'll be able to comprehend what it is that you're trying to manifest and communicate. So, really the power of the mind, the confidence in your mind and your abilities and your talents. So very beautiful. I think it's going to be, I mean, everybody can feel it. And I think this is great too, to like really align with this energy before Mercury goes retrograde again. So Mercury is going to go retrograde, um, the day of the full moon. So I think this is a great opportunity to just do what you can. Even for myself, with a lot of my freelance projects and things that I have going on, I'm teaching a couple classes. I made sure that I am getting it finished before this retrograde. So that's why like I'm cranking things out, very much cranking things out for sure. All right, so this is what I'm pulling here. I have our Seven of Coins, I have our Four of Cups, and then our Ten of Swords. So that's another, duality part with the Gemini energy. We got to watch out for, this is where the pruning comes in again. We got to watch out for the negative thoughts, the discouragement, the feelings that we can't do something. And that's just like a mental trap. And this is what we also need to prune. We don't always necessarily need to prune, positive things. We also need to prune negative things. And the negative thought patterns are not going to get you anywhere. They're going to block the manifestation that wants to come in this month. So really pay attention to the negative thoughts and even like negative content that you're consuming. It's like, why be in a loophole on threads? There's a lot of like clickbait on there, and it can be like you fell down a rabbit hole with the threads on Instagram because there's so much content, there's so many stories, there's so much dialogue. I mean, that's just anywhere, even like reels, and there's so much distraction and negativity. So just kind of be mindful of what content that you're consuming and what you're reading, what you're speaking to. Is it in a higher conscious realm, or is it more negative energy? I mean, a lot of things, yes, can be suspenseful and interesting, and but are like darker themes. I'm not really necessarily talking about that. I just feel like negative, darker forces that aren't really doing much in your life. How can you find a way around that? How can you find a way to prune some of those distractions and like negative ideologies in yourself as well as collectively? So that's something that we need to have some maintenance on. We do the Four of Cups, which is, this patience. There's a lot of this patience, there's a lot of this pruning, there's a lot of this intention that I think is really the theme of June. And the Four of Cups is asking you to face what you want. You have to not only believe in yourself mentally, but you have to emotionally have that reaction internally that you can bring what you desire into reality. It's also an emotional response. And that's what I have here with the manifest card. It's facing it, facing what you want to manifest in an emotional way. And that's part of that belief. It's like you can believe in yourself mentally, but you have to feel it within your body. You got to feel it emotionally and in your heart and soul and spirit. So, and sometimes too, I think this is where the discernment, the pruning comes in. It's like just knowing emotionally, can you take all of this on? Can you do everything in June? Or are there some things that you're going to have to pursue in July? And that's okay. Like, don't overdo it. I think that's, something we got to remember in Gemini season. We have to like put on the brakes of ourselves, and we got to move slowly. We have to like kind of savor things. Go outside, read by a tree, savor this warm weather. Yeah, especially if you're on the East Coast, or it's the summer's arriving, and we don't get this weather for much longer. We get it for like 3 months out of the year at most. So, it's kind of savoring the good things and having patience and knowing when it's time to emotionally pursue something and connect to it, or, if you still need to wait until better timing is aligning, that could maybe be in July. And, don't force, don't rush either. Things will always be available to you. Like what is for you will not miss you. So you just have to know the intuitive timing of what is right and correct. And, that's in aligning with the next card, which is the Seven of Swords. It's like there's so much that you can do. There's so much that you are doing that you're a part of. And, a lot of things, again, we want to do so much at once, but we have to prune. We have to have that discernment of what we can actually intentionally take on, what it should be that we take on. Like we can't just do everything. We have to know the divine timing of when something needs to be realized, when something needs to be manifested. But this will always be there. You've earned this. You created the Seven of Pentacles. Grew these seeds, and they're already blooming. They're going to continue to bloom. They're not going to die. This will never leave you. But, the more you wish for, the more you will receive. So it's like, be careful what you wish for sometimes with the Seven of Pentacles. That's why your negative mind can't get in the way, because this is going to continue to grow and bloom, or you might stunt its growth and it's stagnant. So there's a lot happening. I think it's a very busy time. It's going to be a very busy month, and we are mentally sharp right now. We know we can actually see it of all that we have to do, all that we're navigating. But we just need to know when it's the right timing to pursue these things and when we need to kind of push it back to another, moment. I mean, if you have deadlines, like I was talking about my freelance writing, I have deadlines. So there's things I can't just be like, forfeit it and be like, okay, I'm going to push it to the next month. I don't have it next month. I've got to get it done this month. So, but I had to put it on hold until this month. I had other pressing things a couple months prior since I got this opportunity, that I couldn't do because I had so much going on with other things. So, I think there's just this sense of Like I said, nothing that is for you will miss you, but have some patience, let things take their time to build and develop. Okay, so um I have a warrior of pentacles, and then I have which is our knight, and then I have our nine of pentacles here. So a lot of pentacle energy, which I'm, kind of surprised about, but maybe it's some of that fixed energy coming in with the Leo. But I think this is, kind of encouraging you to continue growing your garden. There's so much opportunity that's coming. But the pentacle suit is the slowest. So we have to have some type of patience. And if you can try to find patience, I think this month that would be really rewarding. I think there's like this huge connection with nature coming in with these cards. We have the green, we have some like um foliage here, some flowers, a lot of abundance, a lot of tranquility. It's that spiritual energy. Connecting with the spirit within, having some time for meditation and reflection, having some time for stillness. And this it's not only mental stillness, but I think it's also physical stillness. Like it's okay to do nothing. And like even, it's okay to, yes, zone out sometimes in front of a TV show, but I think it's okay to just sometimes sit with yourself and have no, distraction with like music, your phone, or um TV conversations, whatever. Sometimes we just need to be alone. We like, and this could be like, really sitting by plants, sitting in nature, trying to be present a little bit more and like savoring this, beautiful weather, this beautiful season. And just knowing that like you don't have to rush your way through this month. Like what you're doing is going to manifest into beautiful, tangible results and things. You just, have faith in yourself and have faith in like whatever higher power that you align with. I'm just going to pull one more card here. I want to pull from this color oracle deck. So beautiful. I love this. So I have the success card. This is such a great spread. I have a little flower here. We have Jupiter. So I think this is great. We're going to have a lot of success, and success is, it's cliche, like what you make it, but really like what success looks like this, month is taking things slow, trying to be mentally discerning, pruning what doesn't, is no longer giving you growth, either mentally, physically, emotionally, not distracting yourself and letting, good things take time. Like you're on the right path, you're on the right journey. There's no reason to rush it. There's no reason to overdo, which can be sometimes be the downfall of Jupiter. It's like we want to overdo, we want to overexpand. But this is a reminder, like you don't have to do that and finding success in your calling, and that is going to manifest. But you need to have some type of spiritual alignment and fulfillment there, and that will give you peace in knowing that what you are pursuing is the right thing. So that is the reading. And also, as well, just a little thing I will mention. I brought back spell candles in my shop. So this is the first time since 2022 since I've had a spell candle collection. It's called Myth. And it was in a collaboration with one of my dear Aries friends, Sonia of Dark Moon Parlors. So, and we have a couple more left. I'm probably going to sell out soon. I only have a couple. And yeah, if you want one, they're available. The scent is peppercorn, bay leaf, and cedar. So smells amazing. We have other plans coming this year with our little mini business apothecary that we started. But yeah, I'm going to be shipping them out. I'm going to try to ship them out this weekend. Or early next week. I'm teaching like a really big class on Monday, so I'm just like, there's so much I got to do, but they will ship out within the week at least. So yeah, if snag one of those, there's only a couple more left. They smell incredible, and the spell is amazing. So thank you so much. If you want a reading with me, you know the spiel, you know my books are open for the next couple weeks. And I hope this, resonated with you and have a great rest of June. I'll see you soon.